Today we're going to talk through how to do a basic on-off hardwired circuit with your Siemens G120C drive. We're going to use switch 1 to start our motor. We're going to use switch 2 to reverse our motor. We're going to use our potentiometer for a speed control, and we're also going to display our speed on our meter. And that's going to give us a good understanding of our basic signals that we're going to use to turn a drive on and off, and also how we can pick up our analog signals, both 0 to 10 volt and 4 to 20 milliamp. Now, you may be thinking, well, wait, I can just add this as a Profinet device to my S7-1200. You're 100% correct. You can do that, but you're going to find a lot of drives out there that are hardwired, and maybe they don't even have a PLC in the cabinet. So this is still a very important skill to use. So let's have a look at the manual and see what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be in the Siemens G120C user manual, and I've got several copies of it open because we're going to kind of bounce through several different things. And the first thing is we are going to be using what they call the default setting 12, standard I/O with analog output set point. And what I love about this is they give you a really basic rundown of what we're going to be doing here. So digital input 0 is going to be our on-off. Digital M1 is going to be reversing. We're not actually going to do the acknowledge fault or the fault or alarm. We're going to use our potentiometer for a speed set point, and then we're going to get the actual speed over analog output 0. Now, there's a little bit of gray area here as what's going on to the left side of us. And so we need a few other pages, which, by the way, this is page 97 of the user manual. And so if we go to page 88 of the same manual, then we get an outline of what all terminals we're commonly using on this drive. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the terminal on the drive, because you are going to need to pop the programmer off for some of this. So if we zoom in here, then we take our drive cover here at the bottom. You can open this up, and there's some plastic you need to kick back out of the way. Here are your discrete input terminals, 88. So if we get the release on this and slide our programmer off, 88 terminals here that we need to work with. These are going to be some of our analog terminals. And so we're going to take terminal number 9 to start with, 88 going out to the other side of all of our digital inputs. So we have switch 1 and switch 2. That's going to be digital input 0 and digital input 1. So let's take a single wire. Even though we end up needing it in 2 spots, we're going to take a single wire and we are going to connect it to terminal number 9 on our drive. Now to connect to these, all you do is press them in. These are all disconnects, which is really convenient. 88, let's go ahead and spin our trainer around. 88, what I want you to do is take this wire and the second wire, and we're going to connect it into switch 1. 88, go ahead and tighten that up, and then take that additional wire that you stuck in there, and we're going to put it on the top of switch 2. And to have that done, 88, have you 2 more wires, 88, and individually lay them on the bottom of switch 1 and switch 2. 88, right down. Make sure you have switch 1's wire in your hands. Let's go and spin that train back around. 88, put it on DI0, which is terminal number 5. 88, oh, then I'm getting ready to wire it to the wrong place. 88 is the diagram here, because yeah, I was even thinking that it was right down in this one area right here, but it is not. 88, number 9 is down here, but digital input 0 is actually up here at the top, and it's still labeled terminal number 5, but I was looking at the diagram and also I'm like, oh no, that is not where they're related at. So go ahead and stick that one in there. And then 88 wire that's on switch 2. And it is going to go to terminal number 6, which is right beneath that one. And that'll take care of 88, our on-off control, and reverse. And we got a little bit more to do on that. Now, let's go and get our speed controller, this potentiometer done also. So a little bit about what a potentiometer actually is on the inside, it is an open resistor. And then you have what we call a wiper that can touch anywhere around it, and that will change the resistance of your circuit. Well, if it can change resistance, then if you apply voltage to your outside two terminals, you'll also change the voltage as you're turning it around. 88. So terminal number 2 is absolutely always going to be your analog in. And the reason I always like to stress this is a lot of you that are coming from, maybe you know about three-phase motors. If it's running backward, we swap any two wires. Potentiometers we have to be a little more careful with. Because on a potentiometer, what a lot of people, when they're thinking that, well, I just need to swap two wires. So when we swap 1 and 2 here, that's going to apply 10 volt here and 0 volt here, potential of 10 volt. And then if you turn this all the way down, you're going to have a dead short in between these two. And that, if you're lucky, you have overcurrent protection to protect from that. But also, if you have too much current, if it's more than this can actually handle, you'll actually burn a spot in a potentiometer. And it also makes it where it's not very electric. So always remember, the middle terminal is always your input, which is going to lead to a little bit of a head confusion your wiring here. Because when you look at the diagram, notice terminal number 1 is your 10 volt. Terminal number 2 is your ground, or mainly your reference for terminal number 1. And terminal number 3 is actually the analog in plus that we're going to wire to. So we are not going to wire them in the same order as it shows here. And let's go ahead and knock out this analog input plus first, because if we can get that one out of the way, then it'll be a lot easier on it. So let's spin her back around. 88, and the back here is your potentiometer. And I want you to take a wire to the center terminal on it, because that will be our wiper, which will be our analog input. And then we'll spin our trainer back around. And this one actually is up here at the top. This is behind our programming keypad. So on our top set of terminals, let's find terminal number 1. Then come down, there's terminal number 2. And then come down one more. There is your analog input 0, or terminal number 3. That is where the thinner one goes to. Just going to work it back and forth here. We're going to go and plug the next one into terminal number 1. That's our plus 10 volt. To spin our trainer back around. And we're going to put this one, our right-hand terminal on that potentiometer. And then we'll grab one more wire. On the left hand of that potentiometer. Make sure that you are tightening up your wires good, because look at there, I just got a wire pop out. And in these early exercises, we don't want a lot of unplanned learning for tape. Spin our trainer back around? This will be terminal number 2? Your train? So mainly make sure the center one on your potentiometer went to terminal number 3 over here. Okay, so then we also had the meter to, and if we look at our diagram, here is analog output 0 plus, and it even shows the meter here coming around to our reference terminal. So that is going to be 12 and 13. And 12 is going to be our plus 20. It's going to be pin 1 or plus milliamp. And 13 is going to be pin 2 on our meter, which is our minus milliamp. So pay really close attention to the order that you're seeing them in here, because the first one we need is terminal number 12, and that's up here. Make sure get in the right spot. So that is terminal number 12, which also the numbers are right inside of here. Can't quite zoom in enough for those. To spin it around. And this is going to be pin 1 on our meter. So to press it into pin 1. There, we'll plug a wire into pin 2. Then it down? This goes to 13, which is not where you would think by 12, it's near the bottom here. It is the third from the bottom. So we'll go ahead and put it on it. And I believe that takes care of all of our wiring. So now let's tidy our wires up a little bit so they're not in the way. And let's go ahead and close our doors up. And we'll snap our programmer back on. Is that where our trainer up? We're ready to set up our drive because the way our trainer ships, it is designed to be ran by the keypad. So we need to change our I/O setup. And to do that, we're going to go over here to the very right side and we're going to click OK. And then we're going to go into setup. Is that go to the advanced setup? And then we're going to go down to our I/O. Is that I/O setup? And we're going to select it. I'm going to select macro. Is that, and it's going to give me a warning. If you change the macro, you're going to delete all your old stuff. We're going to press the OK button to that. And so there are many great setups that are very commonly used with this drive that you can use. And so if you notice on what we were looking at, it says default setting 12 standard I/O with analog set point. And what that is meaning is right here, we're going to select 12. So I got it. Now I'll press the OK button and that will automatically change all of those. And we're going to press the OK button. Is that? And then we'll just hit the escape key and we'll hit the escape key one more time. Is that? And we'll hit the escape key one more time. And then it's going to ask us, do you want to save these settings? And we're going to click yes to save. And it says they were saved successfully. So I press the OK button. And just like you, I'm so excited. I make sure my potentiometer is at least straight up and down. Don't have it turned all the way down. We flip switch one and happens. So let's talk through this so we can think about where the problem's at. It's probably the most common problem I see. It doesn't matter what brand of drive it is. To really troubleshoot any problem, including this one, the question you always have to ask yourself is, do I have current? So in order for this to work, we have to have 24 volt, which was on terminal number 9, going up to the top of both of our switches. And then, in this case, terminal number 5 comes back around. Well, that's plus 24 volt to there. But the most commonly overlooked part, no pun intended, is we also need our digital common reference. So right now, terminal number 69 doesn't have anything connected to it. And so what it's saying here is we need to connect it to terminal number 28. So let's take a wire from terminal 28 to 69. Now, before you do that, make sure you turn your trainer off every time. We're going to power it off. And we'll open up the bottom door on our trainer. We'll take a wire from number 28, which is right below the terminal 9 that you use. Go and put a wire right there. And it needs to connect to terminal 69, which is right above that terminal number 9. And now we'll power our trainer back up. Then we can turn switch 1, and it's rotating. And also getting the milliamp signal here, telling us our speed. And then turn it clockwise, our speed goes up. We can turn it counterclockwise, our speed goes down. Now, very important, while you are learning about this trainer, do not turn it all the way down because we did not set a minimum speed when we were setting this up. And also turn switch 1 back on. And then we can turn switch 2. So that time it was rotating counterclockwise. Now it's still rotating counterclockwise. So I have done something wrong on digital input number 1 that I'm going to have to figure out here. And sure enough, I had to take a picture of the diagram to make sure. So yeah, we were wiring up digital input 0. And here's where assumptions can get you. Digital input 0 does use the digital common. But notice they have a few isolated inputs through here. So in this case, digital input 1 has the plus and the minus. So in this case, we just need to take terminal number 64 also to terminal number 28. And you can probably see it in here. Now, if I have switch 2 to the left and runs counterclockwise, and if I turn switch 2 to the right and runs clockwise. Now, let's look at some of these other exercises because there's a versatility in these macros that are already set up for you. So just looking through these, the setting of one is a really common one. We're going to have one way to go forward. We're going to have one way to go reverse or clockwise, counterclockwise. And we're just going to run on a few basic speed. And then they have it with safety. As of now, let's say don't do the safety exercises because your trainer did not come with anything to do the safety exercises. And we'll have some videos later about those. And then, four fixed frequencies, kind of building on that. We're going to come back to the field bus ones here. We're going to use the Profinet Telegram services. We go on down, we also have a standard I/O with the MOP. So this is going to give you an on-off, but you're going to get what they call a motorized potentiometer. And so that's going to give you one input to raise the speed and one input to lower the speed. And for those, I'd recommend just use your green button. That'll increase your speed. Use your yellow button, decrease your speed. And go back and look here. There was a couple others that I really thought were good. See, this is your standard I/O with set points, the number 12. That's the one we really were doing. And I think this probably is the most common one you'll see out in the field. And then we go down just a bit more. And then we have the 2-wire, clockwise, counterclockwise, but still using a speed value. But play with some of these, and you're going to find that through these examples right here, you're going to learn a lot about wiring drives, but chances are you're going to learn how to cover most of your application. After that, we're going to start working with our S7-1200 some, and after a few basic videos, we're going to integrate this into it. And so here's a playlist with some of those videos.